collect and copy the scriptures, and asked all the 3 men of the Quraysh to write the Quran in the colloquy of Quraysh in case there arose some difference on some point in it. Because the Quran had been revealed in their language, they did accordingly till the scripture was copied out, and Uthman returned the scriptures to Hafsa as promised and sent one newly prepared copy to her. Now only the copy of the Quran prepared by Uthman remained in existence, and all the other copies were got burnt. According to Fathul Bari of Ibn Hajar, Asqalani Volume 4, p. 226, Uthman sent back the Quran of Hafsa, but Marwan snatched it forcibly from her and burnt it. 12 Uthman got all the copies of the Quran burnt except his own, and got Abdullah ibn Mas'ud beaten so much that he developed the disease of hernia. Then he sent him to prison where he died. According to Tufa Ithna, Ashariya of Abdul Aziz, Ubay ibn Ka'b gave his Quran to Uthman, and he escaped beating. That Quran was also burnt. 13. Another example of Uthman's cruelty was his beating of Ammar ibn Yasir. A lemma of both sects relate that when Umayyad oppression increased, some companions of the Prophet wrote to Uthman, asking him to relent. They said that if he continued to assist his cruel Umayyad governors, he would not only be harming Islam, but he would himself be subjected to serious consequences. They asked Ammar ibn Yasir to deliver the petition, since Uthman himself had acknowledged Ammar's virtue. They had often heard Uthman say that the Prophet said that faith was blended with the flesh and blood of Ammar. So, Ammar took the letter to Uthman. When he arrived, Uthman asked him, "Do you have business with me?" He replied, "I have no business of a personal nature. But a group of the Prophet's companions has written in this letter some suggestions and advice for your welfare. They have sent them to you through me." After reading a few lines, Uthman threw the letter down. Ammar said, "It was not good of you. A letter from the companions of the Holy Prophet of Allah deserves respect. Why did you throw it on the ground? It would be proper for you to have read it and replied to it." "You are lying," Uthman shouted. Then he ordered his servants to beat him, and Uthman himself kicked him in the stomach. He fell, unconscious. His relatives came and took him to the house of Salma, one of the Prophet's wives. From noon until midnight, he remained unconscious. The tribes of Hudhail and Bani Makhzum turned against Uthman because of his cruelty to Abdullah ibn Mas'ud and Ammar ibn Yasir. 14. Ammar ibn Yasir was also one of the earliest converts to Islam. As noted before, the pagans in Makkah tortured his mother and father to death. They were the first and the second martyrs of Islam. And this is a distinction that no one in all Islam can share with them. Like Abu Dhar al-Ghifari, Ammar was also one of the few favorites of Muhammad, the Apostle of God, who once said, "Ammar is the embodiment of all Iman faith." Just like Abu Dhar al-Ghifari and a few others, Ammar also was not very popular with the brokers of economic and political power of his time, and a head-on collision between him and them was inevitable. Ammar migrated first to Abyssinia, and then to Medina. He was the first Muslim to build a mosque. He built it in Makkah itself, and he prayed in it. And he built, with others, the Mosque of the Prophet in Medina. While other Muslims carried one brick at a time, he carried two. He also dug, with others, the trench at the siege of Medina. He was covered with dust. The Apostle of God himself removed dust from his head and face. When Ammar heard the news of the death of Abu Dhar al-Ghifari, he mourned for him. Uthman interpreted his lamentations for Abu Dhar as a reproach to himself. He was highly incensed, and ordered him also to leave Medina, and to go to Rabza in exile. When Ammar got ready to leave Medina, the Banu Makhzum, whose client he was, were infuriated. Ali was also displeased. He went to see Uthman, reproved him for banishing Abu Dhar, and told him not to do the same to Ammar Rabza of his own free will. Such statements reflect attempts of their fanatical ulema to conceal the misdeeds of their elders. Abu Dhar's forced banishment to Rabza is commonly acknowledged. As an example, I will confine myself to quoting one narration for Abu Dhar was asked about his journey to Rabza. Abu Dhar said that he was forcibly exiled and sent to the wilderness. He continued, "The Holy Prophet informed me about this. One day I fell asleep in the mosque. The Prophet came and asked me why I was sleeping in the mosque. I said that I fell asleep inadvertently. He asked me what I would do if I were banished from Medina. I said I would go to the Holy Land of Syria. He asked me what I would do if I were banished from there, too. I said I would come back to the mosque. He again asked me what I would do if I were turned out from here also. I said I would draw the sword and fight. He asked me if he should tell me something which would be to my benefit. When I said, yes, he said to me, go to whatever place they take you. So I listened to what he said, and I obeyed him. After this Abu Dhar said, by Allah, when Uthman will go before Allah, he will stand a sinner regarding my case. 5. It was reported to Uthman that Abu Dhar al-Ghifari had spoken before the Muslims in the mosque as follows. I am Abu Dhar al-Ghifari, companion of Muhammad, the last messenger of God. Allah has elevated Adam, Noah and the children of Abraham and Imran over and above the rest of mankind. Muhammad has inherited the legacy of all these prophets. He combines in his person all their qualities, attributes and achievements. And Muhammad's successor is Ali ibn Abi Talib. O Muslims, who are bewildered today, if after the death of your prophet, you had put him Ali ahead of others, as Allah put him ahead of others, and if you had put those men behind whom Allah has put behind, and if you had left authority and power at its source, i.e. in the house of your prophet, then you would have received the blessings of Allah. There would not have been any one poor or destitute, nor any two men would have disagreed on the interpretation of the message of Allah, and everyone would have carried out his duties toward him, and toward the other members of the community, as was done in the times of his messenger himself. You would have found guidance and enlightenment at its fountainhead, i.e. in the house of Muhammad. But you allowed the authority and the power of the house of your prophet to be usurped, and now you are paying the penalty. The informers also told Uthman that Abu Dhar was drawing attention of the Muslims to his Uthman's deviations from the practices of the Prophet as well as from the practices of Abu Bakr and Umar. Uthman ordered Abu Dhar to leave Medina, and to go to Syria and to live there. In Syria, Muawiyah had consolidated his position, and he had cultivated a secular instead of an Islamic lifestyle. Abu Dhar witnessed many foul and un-Islamic practices at the court of Syria. He noticed that the gold and silver of the province was being squandered in Damascus on the luxuries of the nobles while there were many Muslims who were starving. Muawiyah soon learned that Abu Dhar was no less irrepressible in Damascus than he was in Medina. Abu Dhar recited those verses of Quran in which the hoarders of wealth are denounced. He was blunt in his criticism and spoke the truth regardless of cost to himself. Muawiyah had built a palace for himself, should talk with him or walk with him. But Ali came to see him, and to talk and walk with him. With Ali were his own sons, the sons of Aqil ibn Abi Talib, and his nephew, Abdullah ibn Jafar. It was a heart-breaking scene. Ali was parting company with his bosom friend, and the friend and beloved of Muhammad Mustafa s. His own heart was full of sadness, but he tried to comfort his friend with the following words: O Abu Dhar, you were angry with these people because they deviated from the course charted by Allah. Therefore, Allah himself will recompense you. They are afraid of you, because they think you might deprive them of their gold and silver. But if you were also like them, they would have become your friends. 6. O Abu Dhar, you showed anger in the name of Allah, therefore have hope in him for whom you became angry. The people were afraid of you in the matter of their pleasure of this world while you feared them for your faith. Then leave to them that for which they are afraid of you and get away from them, taking away what you fear them about. How needy are they for what you dissuade them from, and how heedless are you towards what they are denying you? You will shortly know who the gainer is tomorrow on the day of judgment and who is more enviable. Even if these skies and earth were closed to some individual and he feared Allah, then Allah would open them for him. Only rightfulness should attract you while wrongfulness should detract you. If you had accepted their worldly attractions, they would have loved you, and if you had shared in it they would have given you asylum. 7. Then Husayn, the younger grandson of Muhammad Mustafa s., turned his misty eyes toward the beloved of his grandfather, now going into exile, and said, O my uncle, Allah will change even a time like this. Your enemies have saved their worldly interests from you, but you have saved your hereafter from them. What they have saved is utterly worthless, but what you have saved is something that will last forever. Ali and his companions walked in silence with Abu Dhar, and when time came to part, the latter said, O people of the house of Muhammad, may Allah bless you. Whenever I see you, recollection comes to me of my friend and beloved, Muhammad, the apostle and beloved of Allah. Abu Dhar, his wife and his servant, were banished to Rabza in the desert, and sometime later, he died there. His wife and servant covered his face, turned it toward the Kaaba, and sat by the roadside not knowing what to do. Presently, they saw some riders coming from the direction of Iraq. These riders were Abdullah ibn Masud, an old friend of Muhammad's, and some other travelers. They were going to Medina. When they saw Abu Dhar's widow, they halted and asked her who she was and what she was doing in that desolate place. Abu Dhar's servant told them who they were and informed them that the body of Abu Dhar was lying unburied as the ground was rocky and they were unable to dig a grave. Abdullah ibn Masud burst into tears and lamented the death of his own friend, and the friend of the Apostle of God. Determination to criticize those who worked against the commands of Allah more than ever. Abu Dhar attacked Uthman more frequently. So, he got very angry and waited for an opportunity to exile Abu Dhar. One day he got the chance and availed himself of it. According to Ibn Wazi, the author of Tariq Yaqubi, people informed Uthman that Abu Dhar Ghifari taunted him in the masjid and had delivered a speech at the gate of the masjid thus: O people, he who knows me, but let him who does not recognize me know that I am Abu Dhar Ghifari. My name is Jundub ibn Junad Arabazi. Allah elevated Adam, the progeny of Ibrahim and the children of Imran, out of the people of the world. The Prophet Muhammad is the heir to Adam's knowledge, and to all virtues which had distinguished the prophets, and Ali ibn Abi Talib is the successor of the Prophet and heir to his knowledge. O bewildered people! If after your Prophet you had preferred one whom Allah has preferred, and had put him last whom Allah has placed last, and had confined the governance and inheritance among the Al-Bayt, you would have